It's Platt, and today we try a peated beer. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So the particular beer we have today is called Bancreagie. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Peated Scotch Ale comes to us from Brau Brothers Brewing. A little bit about Brau Brothers. Brau Brothers is located in Marshall, Minnesota. Marshall, Minnesota is in the southwest corner of Minnesota near the South Dakota border. If you wanted to find a place that's the heartland of America, Marshall, Minnesota would be an excellent selection. Just in rural farming country out in the middle of the Midwest, just good, wholesome American fun. A little bit on the history of Brau Brothers. I have to say this is another brewery that, for whatever reason, really through their website or social media, really doesn't convey the story quite well. But from what I gather, there was an earlier version of Brau Brothers that started around 1999. From what I gather, they started in a small town called Lucan, Minnesota, population 220. And they set up in a small place. They had a 2-barrel system, which is probably about as small as you're going to start a commercial brewery, even though I do know of one or two that have done 1 barrel. But generally 2 barrels is about as small as you're going to start out at. From what I gather, they were just doing growler sales to go, pretty much kind of a modified tap room out of the brewery, just growlers to go. And when you start that small, it's probably just, hey, we want to learn the business as cheap as possible, kind of gain some traction, kind of gain some customer awareness, and then eventually maybe something bigger will happen. And that something bigger came in 2006 when they officially became Brau Brothers Brewing. They ended up upgrading the facility or moving into, I believe, a barn or something like that. But more importantly, they had upgraded from the 2-barrel system to a 15-barrel system, and they added a bottling line, which then led to distribution, kind of expanding the marketplace. And Brau Brothers have been growing ever since then, to the point where eventually in 2013, they moved from Lucan into the big city of Marshall, Minnesota, and they added a tap room and a restaurant. That's pretty much the history I've been able to find. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of information. What I did look up, though, was their menu, just see what kind of food they served or whatever. And they had a couple of a few items that I thought were quite interesting. They have a black and tan onion ring, you know, the variation on the beer battered onion ring. They have bison sliders, which I don't know if you've ever eaten bison. Bison's a delicious meat, and bison sliders sound really good. And they have a pizza. From what I gather, pizza is kind of one of their specialties. But they have a pizza they call the Free Ranger. And it is a pulled pork pizza with pepper jack cheese. Yes, that thing, yes, that just sounds wonderful. If I'm ever in Marshall, Minnesota, there will be a free-range pizza being purchased. I'll say that. Real quick on their beers, they appear to have kind of a smaller line of beers, which makes sense. You know, kind of a small-town brewery in the heartland. Limited distribution. I believe they're distributed through about 10 to 12 states in the Midwest for the most part. But growing. Anyway, beer-wise, probably what appears to be one of the most popular beers is something called Moo Juice. Moo as in cow. It's an oatmeal milk stout. Thus, we get Moo Juice. And frankly, it's been popular enough where now they've kind of expanded and created a line of Moo Juices. There are different flavors. There's a blood orange. There's a red velvet, I presume tastes like red velvet cake. And they even do a s'mores Moo Juice, which sounds enticing. As far as the rest of the roster of beers, I notice they tend to be more malt-heavy beers. They have a pale ale. I don't remember seeing an IPA. Maybe they had an IPA. I didn't see any sours. A lot of stouts. A brown ale. I think I even saw a porter. Some more malt-forward type beers, which, you know, colder climate kind of makes a little sense. You know, heartland versus the West Coast kind of thing. I see it. Well, before we try this beer, though, let's check out the stats. All right, so this is probably the last beer video before Christmas, so I've got one more stocking stuffer to suggest the particular book I have today is the Modern Mixologist. Comes to us from Tony Abou-Ganim. With the holidays being here, and more importantly, us not being able to go to bars, so we'll probably be drinking at home. Might want to class up that cocktail party, you know, instead of just the Jack and Coke or maybe blended margaritas, maybe some nice classic cocktails. And if you need the recipes, the Modern Mixologist will have them. Tony has a lot of great classic recipe, you know, classic cocktail recipes, but also some newer cocktails that he's come up with or other people have come up with. If you don't know much about Tony Abou-Ganim, Tony was the original mixologist at the Bellagio here in Las Vegas. Tony had his own TV show for a while. He's been on, I know, at least one episode of Iron Chef. I think he partnered with Mario Batali, and Mario does the forward in this book, but don't hold that against Tony. Anyway, this is a great book from a gentleman, one of the great minds in the bartending world. This book is more, though, than just cocktail recipes. He talks about making your own syrups, cutting your own garnishes, equipment that you would need for your home bar, and just setting it up. And, again, creating great cocktails, you know, something different. And, again, we're going to be drinking at home more. So check out the book, Modern Mixologist from Tony Abou-Ganim. I will leave a link down below where you could get that book. All right, time to drink some beer. And we're drinking the Peated Scotch Ale. If you don't know what peating is or what that means, it's big in the Scotch world, and basically it's a way to smoke the grains, and then that smoke flavor kind of comes through in the end product. That's why, you know, some classic Scotch, like your Lagavulin or whatever, just tastes so smoky. So they use a lot of that smoked or peated malt. Some of that gets used in here, so we should be able to, I'm going to presume that we'll pick up some of that smoky flavor. Let's check it out. All right. Pours a little lighter. Well, Scotch ales aren't necessarily as dark as a brown ale, but pours just a shade lighter than what I was expecting. Got a nice light khaki finger width head. Let's give her a sniff. Just a shade of the smoke, but not a lot of smoke on the nose. Let's give her a try. That's nice. It's just a nice Scotch ale. The peatiness kind of comes later, but it's very subtle. It's very light. Yeah, good flavor though. Nice maltiness. Get a little bit of those chocolate malts in there. Body wise, very drinkable. Yeah, no real hop flavor or aroma, but the beer's still balanced, so there's enough bitterness, you know, in the beer to balance it out. I'm gonna say, I guess I was thinking more of peated scotches that I've tried. Now, I had that in my head, and that is not what this is. Not that it's bad. It's a really nice Scotch ale. I just don't get a lot of the peatiness. I'll definitely drink it. I'll definitely drink it, but a nice executed beer if it was just a Scotch ale. But again, the peatiness or the lack thereof. But it is. Well, like I said, it kind of comes late if it comes at all. The peatiness, but overall a solid beer. Just I guess not what I was expecting, or I was kind of expecting something a little more complex, flavor wise in this. But again, a decently executed beer, very very drinkable. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you would like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.